Today on Hot Talk, we will be featuring Mr. Brandon Adams, a sophomore English teacher here at ACIT. Through this interview, Mr. Adams details his own personal journey in teaching, along with detailing some of his own life and interests.
This is probably not the most inspirational thing, but I just liked reading. I had an English teacher who did not love me because I would just not do my assignments and be reading in class. Finally, one day they were like, "Did you ever think about being a teacher?" And I was like, I guess I have to do something with my life. And I'm just incredibly fortunate that I actually fell in love with teaching along the way, but it was just a really happy accident. It's not the advice I give most people in trying to find a career, but luckily it worked out extremely well for me. Oof. I mean, one of the first books I really fell in love with was One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Perhaps, but you see, the only thing I can really speculate on, Nurse Ratched, is the very existence of my life, with or without my wife, in terms of the human relationships, the juxtaposition of one person to another, the form and the content.
I was in high school when I read it, and I remember the moment I finished it, and if you've ever read it, you know it ends on this big, powerful moment. And I was in the middle of class, and I slammed the book shut and was just like, whoa! And everyone looked at me funny. But it was one of the first stories where I realized, the person you're following and rooting for doesn't have to be a perfect person. They can have all these flaws and not be this, stellar hero. They can be someone who has learned along the way. And I think, especially as a high schooler, I really identified with that. So I was just having this talk with my friend, talking about The Last of Us, which was a video game turned into a show.
You haven't seen the world, so you don't know.
I'm always really on board when directors, showrunners want to turn pieces of literature into another form of media. I think it's important to play with it and express it. And I've never been that person that gets upset when they change the source material. So I'm like, that's why you change it. Don't get me wrong, sometimes I'll watch something and be annoyed by it, but I mean, if more art's in the world, it's a good world. I recently got back into an artist that I always keep coming back to, and his name is Daniel Johnston. I guess he'd be referred to as outsider music. He's very strangey. A lot of his music he just did by himself with this beat up little Casio in his garage and just beat the thing up. But his lyricism has been beautiful and his life was really difficult, and I learned a lot from him. If you've been in the classroom, you'll see rumblings of him. This is a graphic novel based off his life. He's always just around. If you're interested in him or wanting to learn more, there's a documentary called The Devil and Daniel Johnston made about his life, which is amazing. And the album Welcome to My World is a great starting off point.
Reporting for Red Hawk Media, this is CeCe Perez.